Hello, children, and welcome to another episode of Bored and Annoyed. I'm home with the movies.
And I'm Jackson.
And this week, we are discussing in our brand new format, where we actually just give you the reviews in their own special episodes. We're discussing Keanu Reeves' latest, Replicas.
Yeah, it's not John Wick, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not quality, unfortunately.
We'd like to start off by saying, make sure you rate our show if you like this content.
Yeah.
Let us know on Instagram, Twitter. You can find all those links on our website, boredandannoyed.com. I'm always looking for feedback from you guys. So
feedback is nice. I do appreciate it.
But Replicas.
Yeah, let's get into that. Bored and Annoyed.
Give us the rundown on the plot.
Oh boy.
Just the brief plot. Like before
you realize what the movie
spoilers.
Was.
Right.
Man is a scientist who has a family. The family dies. He wants to bring them back. He's working on cloning or remapping the brain technology. So he has the means for this.
Okay.
That's it.
So he clones his family.
Right. Yeah.
Now, there's all sorts of implications as far as that's concerned.
Human soul.
Ways you can go.
The human soul.
Right.
What that means. Playing God.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah.
That's the big one that every cloning movie has to address, that there is a consequence for cloning.
Yeah.
Except
False.
For this movie. Yeah, except for this one.
As Dwight would say, false. That is false, Jim.
Yeah.
What would you give this for a grade?
This is an F. But
an entertaining F.
It's one of those.
Yep.
It's one of those slivers where you can't not give this an F. I mean, it is terrible. The plot is terrible. There's no message. The acting is terrible.
Yeah.
I was saying to Alex before we started recording that all the goodwill that Keanu has gotten with like the John Wick franchise, he's really coming back, it all plummeted because this movie is the textbook like Keanu's bad movie.
So are you broken up with Keanu now?
No, I'm just aware of what he does.
Oh, okay.
But I am sad that I was so defensive of him these last few years, and then I watch this, and it's like it's not all his fault. Granted. Okay.
Because he was a producer on this.
Okay. Well, there you go. I guess a lot of it is his fault.
He takes more blame than he normally would.
But he's so miscast.
Yes.
And he cast himself probably.
Yep.
But he is so terrible as this scientist. The movie has tons of exposition. The movie is broken from a script, like emotional narrative perspective, thematics perspective. Correct.
Logic perspective.
Just character interactions are terrible.
And if you think that that's not enough, also, the cinematography is terrible.
Yeah, it's an ugly movie.
And
the CGI is terrible. The little CGI that they have is terrible.
Oh my God, it's like watching claymation.
It's worse than like iRobot.
Far
away.
Yeah,
and that was like 10 years ago.
It's like there's a PlayStation 2 character in the movie.
Yes.
It's horrible.
And the design of it isn't even cool. It's just ugly.
No.
It's so bad.
The
movie opens with him like, they're introducing the character by like having him, he's like doing one of these transplant things.
Like how he explained?
Well, yeah, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, who is he explaining this to? All these characters know what they're doing.
The room of scientists who signed on for this moved to fucking whatever, Brazil.
And now I'm doing this. And he's got the Minority Report Iron Man thing where he's opening and press, and it looks the worst it has ever looked.
It looked it looked really stupid. I don't even know where to begin with this. Like, it's broken on so many levels that it's like a pile of Legos, but you have no instructions. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Okay. He has a family. And they die. They die in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yep, sure.
We are not attached to anyone in this movie when
Correct.
They die. And the one character, we're just spoilers. It's an F movie.
Yep.
If you go see
solid
it.
F though.
Go see it if you want a good time in the theater though.
Can we designate a solid F means it's entertaining because it's so terrible. Yes.
It's a solid F, bro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that grading. Yeah, no, that's what it is. It's a solid F because you need to go and see this if you want to have like a, not quite the room bad.
Or just wait till it's out on video.
That too.
I mean, you got to watch it.
I would recommend it if you enjoy movies in a sarcastic, ironic way.
Yes.
How
does this have like a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know. I don't know. Because like it switches what kind of movie it's going to be.
Yes, because at first you're like, okay, this is going to be about, the theme here is going to be like, okay, you can't replace the human soul and playing God.
Because the wife
bad
brings
things are
up
going to
that
happen.
theme.
So I'm sitting there like, okay, things are going to get weird.
Right.
Like there's going to be like, it's going to be like a family-based movie.
Yes.
Where, they start to realize they're clones or they start like wigging out and acting weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not at all what it is.
Not at all.
And it's funny because like I was laughing with the buddy I was with at this.
Yeah.
I was laughing like, oh, I bet you that blah, 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 blah. Like, and we were laughing at how predictable the movie was going to be. But it was so stupid that it became unpredictable by default because nobody would have ever guessed that this was like themeless, messageless.
Yeah.
It just was it was bizarre.
Keanu is a terrible wife. He is a terrible wife. He's a terrible husband and a terrible father. And I'll tell you why. It's because he doesn't put his eyes on the road when he's driving.
Yeah, the whole
in a fucking monsoon.
Okay. Now, okay. But see, I had a problem with that scene because like it kind of was out of his control. I mean, like a tree fell on the car.
But
and I'm
he
like,
might
no,
have seen that
should...
shit if he had been smart enough to, I don't know, pull over like his wife said, or maybe kept his eyes on the road.
But I don't like the fact that that even happened. It should have been his mistake that like, it should have been purely like, okay, he fucked up. And they all died because of him. Now it's this emotional, like, not only does he just want his family back, but he wants to erase the mistake he made. And the movie wasn't about that, in my opinion.
Well, you could have done that because he erased the memory of the daughter, and that could have been your theme.
Sure, okay.
You could have not done that and just had the theme be that he's selfish and he wants what he wants, and life gives you shitty things, and he's like, well, why don't I just make lemonade family members, with my lemons. But you don't have to have it be his fault, but you can go there. But the point is like, it's so unrealistic because you're like, your family is saying that this is really scary. And he's just looking over at his wife. I'm thinking about when I drive in my car.
I'm like this when it's raining.
When it's like that, yeah, absolutely. That's what any responsible.
What a stupid fucking movie.
And then they have the most ridiculous like car crash I've ever seen.
It was bad.
It was like the Doctor Strange car crash, where it's just like flips upon flips for no reason, just to let you know
he's the only one not submerged in the water. Yeah. I loved all of that. Like you said, there's no theme. He gets away with it. They try to set up things like, oh, I had to delete my daughter's memory, but then at the end of the movie, she's just brought back. They even set it up like at the beginning with the wife saying like, what do you think that's all human beings are? Is like the brain and blah, blah,
and
blah.
Memories.
And like the end of the fucking movie is like, oh yeah.
That's all you are. This movie has the worst message of humans, which is you're just a bundle of neurons.
You brought up the point. Good point, though. The setups. So you set up that.
Yeah.
You set up the whole theme of like, okay, well, things are going to go wrong because this is against human, like nature.
Yeah. Yep.
And then there's the daughter. So one thing that happens in the movie is after the family dies, he's got, what does he have? 3 kids and a wife?
Yeah.
He's got 3 kids and a wife. So there's these cubes, these like boxes that are needed to clone the family members in.
Yeah.
And there's only 3 of them.
Yep.
So he has to choose which one not to bring back.
Yeah.
And then that becomes, oh, that's what they're setting up now. Is like, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Never mind the fact that he doesn't even try for a second to think of a solution to that problem.
Yeah.
Like, clone the other 3, somehow put a memory in that she's like at camp or something, and then clone her in some secret location, and she comes back.
Everybody in that car is going to have the memory of that car crash. If he scanned their brains after they died, they're all going to have a memory of crashing in the car, which none of them did. by the way.
That's a good point. They didn't erase that.
So
they just erased her.
Just her.
And by the way, to erase someone's memory, you just put them in a search bar and you hit enter.
That was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing. I love the fact that, like, you know, he calls his friend and his friend just like shows up, steals these cloning pods from a place of business,
yes,
and research.
How did he carry them, by the way? I'd assume that equipment's heavy. They don't show him bring the pods into the car, and they don't show them unload the pods into the house. They're just all in the basement, all set up.
And they're missing $1.7 million, which, by the way, seems a little cheap.
Very cheap for cloning.
Yeah.
Fucking, yeah.
And they're taken. Nobody was watching the cameras, and nobody looked at the footage.
Nobody noticed. He's the only one ever in that lab. Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. But
yeah, no, and the daughter thing.
Yeah.
So did we get to that? So he, like we talked about, okay, so
he deletes her memory.
He deletes her memory from the other family members because he's thinking if they wake up and they remember her, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So then he has to like go all around the house and erase everything that proves that she exists.
Yeah.
And he procrastinates on that part until like the last night when they wake up.
Let's not forget the fact that he needs the batteries right away.
Oh, yes.
He steals car batteries so that he can have a generator. But it's like, apparently you can do this at any time, this cloning process. And apparently you have their memories, and there's no ticking clock on those like disk drives that have their memories.
Yeah, you're right.
So he could have waited until the morning, and he could have thought about the fact that, like, oh shit, I can wait a couple of weeks and clone my other daughter.
Well, and honestly, does the power go out? On average, does the power go out like every 17 days?
No, but I will give the movie this. I mean, it is a matter of it's a true thing, and you need to make sure. But you would not chance it if you're trying to bring a family back.
And if they do have the ticking clock of like he has to be back in the office because he needs to do the project.
Yes, and which is stupid, by the way. It's a B plot that they try to make the A plot at points, and it's just
awful. What it reminded me of? Those scenes was like Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes,
with Franco and
which
his
were
boss.
Good scenes in that movie.
Well, I'm just watching and I'm like, this is so derivative of everything.
Yep.
God, this movie was so bad.
But it's like the problem with like the whole like getting a generator thing is like they introduced a problem and they solved it immediately, which means there's no dramatic tension there.
Well, they didn't solve it because the cops are looking for the battery robber.
And then Keanu,
and it was funny because I thought like immediately my thought was like, oh, he found a store that he could buy like car batteries in.
Right.
I guess that makes sense. And then like, no, the cop stopped by. He was going from house to house taking people's car batteries out of their car.
Did you see how nice his house was? This neighborhood has garages, so he broke into the garages
and alarms on every car.
On every car. How did he do this and not get caught? This is bullshit.
And then when the cops come by and they're like, "Hey, we know that everybody on the block had their batteries stolen. How about you? Like, did you?" And he's like, "No." And you're just like, are you fucking kidding me?
The one guy, and they aren't like, hey, man.
No, the cops are clearly the cops are mentally challenged, and they don't understand that if he is the only guy that didn't have a battery stolen,
it's him. It's fucking him.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
And it's the worst thing too, because they open it up for like this like stupid ass humor in the middle of the movie because of like this whole like not preparing for his family to be missing for 17 days.
Yes.
So he's like, you know, that scene happens, and then he goes like, "Oh, that just happened." In like one of the worst like attempts at humor in the movie.
There were a few of those.
And then like the scene where like the teacher shows up and he's like, "Yeah, well, I hope that clarified everything." And it's like worse like Bill and Ted.
How this character is an idiot. He didn't prepare for anything.
Yes.
Like he thought they would just wake up and like life would move on.
It just happened. It just, and like you're sitting there and you're like, okay, man. So like I know you got to solve your brain transfer problem thing, but you're not literally thinking about that every second of the day.
No,
you're part of your brain.
You're watching a fucking you're watching a pot boil essentially. And that's also, what his character is doing. They literally say you need to watch these at all times.
Yep. And then the whole like theme of all like there are consequences, man meddling, all of that shit. It comes to a really big head in the whole like deleting the idea of your daughter, because like that's so invasive. That's that's like literally mind fucking. Literally.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And it's so invasive. And so like, you're like, oh, that'll drive them apart when she realizes that. No, there's none of that.
It's like a 2-second long.
Yeah.
Like in the span of like 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, the family starts to realize something's wrong.
Yeah.
And he tells one of the family members, and then it's just like known, and it's not a problem.
And then it's a car chase because we need to move on to the next thing. And then it is. It's tough because like my brain is like, I'm trying to recall everything that was terrible about it.
You mean the whole thing?
The whole thing. Yes, I'm trying to recall the whole movie.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, we did just go through like 2/3 of it. We can talk about the ending now. The chase to the...
Hold up. There's one more, which is I hate the fact that he deleted the idea of his daughter, because like instead of just mourning his daughter like a normal family would do, because he didn't bother to come up with a thing. Like all of society is going to remember that she existed.
Yeah, no, that was a huge problem too, as I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute. You think that all these kids' friends don't know that they have a little sister? Like, how are you going to explain any of this?
So stupid.
It is unbelievably stupid.
It's like you could have just let your family mourn the one death. Like if there was a time limit and you couldn't put her brain in, you could not clone, let your family mourn the one death. You saved the other 3. And I guess we're just not going to deal with the whole, consequences for meddling thing. So
it is insane that they actually wrote that, like they wrote it like this, so they have a scene where the boy of the family plays like online video games or whatever. And like, on the computer, it's like none of his friends know that he has a sister. What about like the mom's friends at work? Like they've never talked about their youngest daughter. And they try to brush over that, I think, by saying like, oh, we just moved here. We just got here. Why are we going to move again? But it's like, no, that doesn't really work.
No.
Not in today's age.
One of the teachers showed up, which means that other kid has somebody in her life that knows about her. It's so terrible. And I did, that scene that you brought up where he brings all the computers and all the phones out. It's just the worst, because it's like, it's just another attempt at humor that doesn't work.
Oh, with the grounded till she's 18.
Yeah. Your bae, my bae, Juan. Oh, it was the worst. It was the worst.
It was terrible.
And then, let's go into like the whole, like,
the chase scene.
The chase scene. Whoa. What was that?
So basically the CEO or the head of the scientist crew guy finds out that he's doing this from the plucky sidekick character,
the beta male bitch boy,
who does everything Keanu Reeves tells him to, no questions asked. And he's a rat, and he rats to the boss.
He's the beta male bitch boy, and he gets killed just like every beta male bitch boy.
Yeah, so there's a car chase. They have trackers in them that apparently were implanted by the cubes. And I'm sitting there like, okay, you just came up with that at the last minute. Like that wasn't a thing.
Because we want a chase scene.
Right. So then they go to a hospital and they use the defibrillators to like destroy the.
You know what I love? What I love the most about this scene is like the security guard coming up. And he's like, "Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be in here." And then they cut to the shadow of like the goons holding up their gun. Like it's this artsy shot.
It's terrible.
It was so funny. I laughed out loud in the theater.
They get to a boat.
Yeah.
And the key isn't there for the boat.
You said the keys would be in the tackle box.
What a fucking moron. He goes to the boat and he leaves the family in the car and jumps the fence where there's no chance he can get back to save them.
Know what movie you're in.
Yeah,
that's what
good
this
point.
is.
Well, and then, okay, so that doesn't work. So the family gets taken and he has to go to the lab.
Yeah.
To save the family.
Yep.
And then it's like this dialogue heavy scene.
Yep.
Like him trying to barter with the CEO guy.
Oh, are you trying to barter? Shoots the bitch boy.
Well, and at this point, he had taken his mind out and saved it on a file, because the thing he discovered throughout the movie was that he was trying to put a dead person's brain into a synthetic body.
Yeah.
And when they woke up, Like they were fucking freaked out because it's not their body. They know what their body is. There's like a disconnect there.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even a conscious one. It's the one about like your involuntary organs. Like your brain is trying to tell your involuntary organs what to do. It's something that if somebody worked in this field would be one of the first things that they thought of because they know sections of the brain and know what they do.
Right.
Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah.
So since he's aware, he can do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the explanation.
He figured out an algorithm to make the brain, the synthetic brain, think that it's its real body. So those parts that send messages to your lungs will think that they're sending messages to your lungs and getting messages back from your lungs.
So he becomes Robot Man and Keanu Reeves in the same room.
Yes, there are two Keanus.
And
for the price of one.
The bad guy shoots the beta male guy in the head, which was odd.
Yeah. Wait, why didn't we try and save him?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
He's not worth cloning. He's not worth. He's a little bitch.
No, he's got headshot though. He can't be saved.
Oh, that's right.
Headshot.
They barely established that.
They did though. They did.
Yeah, that's right.
Is the brain viable?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Or maybe it was at the first scene in the movie. It was like, well, we have a viable brain here, so
yeah.
Since this soldier wasn't killed with a headshot. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, the movie ends up basically he goes off with his family and clones the youngest daughter who he couldn't in the beginning.
Nobody remembers.
Nobody remembers her. Yeah. Nobody remembers the daughter but him, but they're all going to just like, this won't be a problem.
Yeah. I also don't understand the whole, like they had an out. They had an out with the whole, like, the human soul thing because, like, the daughter's been deleted, but the wife sees a girl who's got brown hair and a red dress that reminds her of her daughter.
Didn't make any sense in the context of the movie.
Because her memory's been deleted. But if you were going to do the whole like human soul and that's what connects us,
but they didn't.
Right. So they just put like
that happened. That scene at the Christmas tree place where she sees the little girl and there's this look of like, that was when you're like, okay, that's where this is going.
Yep.
And then it didn't go that way.
Like, and they could have like made the family leave because of the perversion of deleting memories. Like that's so invasive, but there's no consequences for any of his actions. And he does terrible things in this movie, but it's like he did terrible things, but for the right reason. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's a fucking disaster.
And also his robot form can be rich, making money off of saving the rich people, which is also like, this movie is so bad because it's like, it's okay. Rich Keanu is saved. Also, the villain of the movie gets saved, and not only saved, but gets to be rich.
Yeah, and you know what? If that's what you wanted to do was make it like this dark turn where everything's fucked with the main character, and that's what happened. Like, but cool. They didn't do that. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too.
They didn't sell it as bad. They were just like, oh, this is happening.
Right, and they think that they sold it as bad. I can't
even tell because like this movie doesn't have a mastery of tone in any situation.
No, it's a fucking true. It's a pure. It is textbook bad movie.
Right.
Like it is a clinic on how to make bad movies in every way. Every line of dialogue, every scene, everything they try to set up, the way it's shot, the special effects. It is a fucking disaster. It's Mystery Science Theater quality. Like they need to do this or Plinkett.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm just going to pull out one. I brought up the shadow shot. I'm going to pull out one more instance of really bad cinematography, which is beta male bitch boy shows up after the crash and they're on the street and Keanu's like, hey, come down here. And he leads him off the road. You remember that shot?
Right. Yep.
It rack focuses to some brush that's like right in the foreground because they were in the midground.
Okay.
What? You don't rack focus at the end of a shot when somebody leaves a shot unless the thing that you're rack focusing to has something to do or is new information or changes the scene in some way. You don't rack focus to just a random thing.
No.
It
doesn't make much sense.
It's so I don't get it. This movie was so bad.
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible.
It was awesome.
It was way more fun to watch than, like, for instance, our movies that were on our worst of the year list last year. But it's not better than any of them.
No.
There's not one thing it does well.
It's probably worse than most of them.
Yes, I would agree.
But yeah, that was the time at the theater.
Yep.
It was a good time.
Solid F.
Solid F. Check it out.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. And let us know what you think of the new format, too.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye.